Okay, this part of the lecture also, yeah, is going to dive into straight away into types of estimates. Okay, so with type of estimates, there is actually, I would say actually there's about five classifications here. Actually, not so much of four classifications. Okay, I prefer to say five. Okay, um, but sometimes people like to lump expert opinion with the approximate estimates together. But I think expert opinion is important as it is. Okay, so with different type of estimates, you will have different type of accuracies, and it will be used at different time. Basically, order of magnitude. Okay, let's talk about expert opinion. When do you use expert opinion? When you get a phone call from somebody who's asking you for a very fast quotation, or a indication of how much they're going to spend, it is going to be very fast, very quick. It's accuracy. I mean, the accuracy is practically not there in a way. But of course, because with the experience, you will have certain level of accuracy that is appropriate. Okay. As an engineer, you will be given a lot of situation where you will be facing a lot of situation whereby you are being asked, over a phone call, or just immediately when you're presenting to the client or talking to the client, you can have a very quick judging. So how do you do that? Normally we will use past experience. Past experience meaning that previously I've just handled a project that is about 80 kilometers of pipelines, and it cost me about 200 million. So now you're asking me to quote you about 20 kilometers of pipeline. So we're talking about a quarter of the work that is going to be done. But obviously I don't know where your site is, and I don't know what kind of level of productivity that your people have, and what sort of supplier delivery rate you have, and all that. So I don't know. I don't know a lot of information. I'll probably just get you based on the simple quantity alone, that I would say it's going to cost you about 15 million kind of thing. So plus or minus, about 40 kind of percentage of differences in the final calculation later on, you see. So that one is expert opinion. Okay, and in terms of this one here, like I said, the usage of it is usually inquiry purpose, usually in a presentation when you're being asked about when you were being asked about quick charging, like you are being asked about inquiry kind of thing, and they actually want it fast, so that they actually know if it's really too off the final figure that they have in mind, then they will not actually ask to proceed. So usually in the very early on negotiation, in a chatting, in that sense, that you actually get that expert opinion. And like I said, a lot of them will be your friends or people from the consultant or people from the government agency asking you for an opinion. So usually this sort of opinion are like what you guys will do, when you go to site, to ask about your IDP cost, construction cost, you see. So order of magnitude, okay, is the next level up. It's actually a bit better. Okay, so we call that a analogy estimate, approximate estimate, so order of magnitude. So normally this one we use a certain level of quantity that is available, meaning that you need to know at least one component, meaning that the not quantity as in the capacities. So if we're talking about capacities, are you building 80 houses? Are you building 60 houses? What was the analogy previously? You're building a factory that can do 1,000 cubic meter per day, compared to a factory that can do 800 cubic meter per day, of concrete. So it's different. So you base it on capacity or the quantity, or the sum that is the amount that is available in terms of production, or in terms of quantity as in how you will know how many houses, how many km of pipeline, and then you employ that, and there's a formula to it actually. Let me see, I probably don't have it here with me. I'll post it up later on. There's a formula, it's an analogy estimate, so I'll actually talk to you about it on Thursday. Okay, so in terms of analogy estimates, there's a specific formula that is talk about the proposed cost with the analogy cost with some sort of like a factor involved there, and then you can calculate that. There's a formula. So it's better than expert opinion, which is a direct, projection. This one there's a formula that you apply to, you see. So this one is actually good in that sense, because it's going to be easier for you to manage, to come up with the right, better kind of estimates compared to an expert opinion. And this one here, you will usually normally use it during the conceptual study. So now your conceptual studies, you're being asked about cost, you see. So you're actually going to get, from your previous compilation of cost that is available on a surrounding site, so you can take that and apply the formula and estimate your site cost. So you need to fix that capacity. So if you're talking about houses, terrace houses, or you're talking about semi-detached houses, so it's different actually. So you really need to come up with a proper systems for it. So there's no analogy estimate is usually one capacity. So it depends on whether you want to break it up into different capacities, meaning that number one, you have on your historical site or previous site, historical data on previous site, you have like that one site has 20 semi-D, 20 semi-D, 20 terrace houses, so you apply 2 times the formula onto your terrace houses and your semi-detached houses. So that means there's extra work there. You need to get extra information on semi-detached houses construction costs and also terrace houses construction costs. Or you can get an overall and just use the number of units that's available, and that is of course not accurate, because if you have 20 and then here you have also something different, you have 8 and 8 and say 8 as semi-D and 10 detached, 10 terrace, then the projection will actually be different, because the percentage of terrace houses to semi-D is not half anymore. Here you're talking about 60-40 kind of thing. So it can actually be a problem. I mean, not to say a problem, it can actually cause some level of inaccuracy there. Okay, so normally we would use this in the preliminary studies, okay, or actually we will use this in the conceptual study. My apologies, a bit too fast. Okay, so in the preliminary studies, which is the next stage, you'll be using what we call the parametric studies. Okay, so parametric studies, I don't want to use the word outbreak here, that is very wrong. Okay, so basically you actually engage the rate of the unit. Okay, so here you are talking about preliminary or parametric estimates, that you are actually taking different parameters from a job. So let's say if you're taking road work as a parameter, you're taking water work as a parameter, you're taking structural work as a parameter. So that particular one project, you're actually splitting up into about 5-6 different parameters, and each parameters you have your own unit. Okay, so example, parameter for water, you're talking about kilometer of pipelines, and then road, you're talking about kilometers of pipeline, and structure, you're talking about numbers of concrete, meter cube of concrete that you use, you see. So when you have different parameters like this, and then you take the historical data, you also have to split up their percentage. You need to calculate their cost in terms of parametric, in terms of what has happened in the how many km of pipeline do they have, how many km of road do they have, how many meter cube of concrete do they have, and what was the split, what was the construction cost for the water, what was the construction cost for road, what was the construction cost for the structure, and then with that parameter you project that onto your parameter, because you have your own unit rate over there already. So that in a sense will actually help with the calculation to increase the level of accuracy. So for order of magnitude or approximate estimate, it's actually like capacities or unit. So here you're talking about splitting up that one construction project into several parameters, and from that several parameters you apply the different unit rates to the construction costs. Okay, so again, I will stop here for now, and then the definitive and detailed estimates, it will take a bit of a longer time to look at. Okay.